So thank you guys for joining me today on Lashgasm Radio. I love that the tables are turned now and I'm interviewing you because you had me on your show multiple times. So I really appreciate that. And you coming on today.
Absolutely.
Well, we were super excited when we found out you were moving into the podcast world, and
it's perfectly natural because you're so conversational.
Yeah,
it's a nice way of saying I have a big fat mouth. No, I definitely have a lot to say, and I love that we do think a little bit differently over here. And I've always been a person to question everything and challenge the status quo and think outside the box. Like I've always been like that. So I think it's good when people come in and shake things up. So
absolutely,
I'm following in your footsteps. So thank you for paving the way for the lash industry.
Oh, sweet.
Podcast. I'm sure there will be many more to follow, right?
God willing.
So yeah, right. I feel like everybody I know completely knows what Lash Con is. Everybody that I know has gone to both, but we cater a lot to new people starting in the industry, people that are really just getting their feet on the ground and learning who's who and who can they lean on for advice. So today I wanted to have you guys on to talk about Lash Con and get the word out to anybody who doesn't know, because I have enjoyed your events and I'm looking forward to next year. And I just wanted to give you guys another avenue to talk about your conference. So for anyone listening that doesn't know, lay it on us. What is Lash Con?
What is Lash Con? And thanks so much. Yeah, I mean, Jenelle, you've been with us since the beginning. You were, I think, our top tier sponsor 2 years ago, and we've always appreciated your contribution to supporting and everything you've done to help us and support us. It's been really, you and a few other people have been like at the top of our list, the most generous people. So we thank you.
We do what we can, and this year hasn't been easy for anybody, and I feel like everyone's just trying to figure their life out, but we will always do what we can to support because love what you guys are doing, and you have to be.
So what is LashCon? LashCon, what it isn't, first off, and I've actually had this when I was reading some of the reviews, and thank God 99% of the reviews are all positive and happy. But I remember one person it's funny, it's this year, LashCon, our third year is 2021. I keep thinking next year. We're in next year already. But
we're stuck in like that 2020 hole of like, are we out yet?
No, it doesn't.
I know, it's like,
it's still going on. 2020 is still here, it feels like.
So are you referring to the first one?
No, just
one of the virtual.
Just 2 months ago, the virtual one. Someone wrote me a comment and said, well, I loved it, but I wish there was more talk about lashes. And I went, where in our marketing did I mess up that you thought that our conference was going to be about lashes? Kind of like most conferences, right? Where you sit around and you talk about technique, talk about glue. Well, we do talk about glue, but more about the design, volume, all that different stuff.
The actual practical art of applying lashes.
Like the service.
The service itself.
Do the service better. That's interesting to hear that because, I mean, that's really the main thing that you promoted it as. This is a business conference.
Exactly.
So
it's just funny. People, it's selective reading, I guess, when you look at the website and you click on the buy your ticket, it keeps saying business conference. And that's what it really is. This is a business conference for beauty professionals. This is a place where you get to finally hone your craft in the business side of things. We spend so much time focusing on our technique. All the trainers are teaching and they do teach some marketing, Instagram tips, stuff like that, but very few people really talk about business. I think of maybe Tara Walsh is our lone example, like a lone crying out in the wilderness, talking about, hey, you guys, you don't just need to be a great artist, you need to be a great business person too. And that's really what LashCon's all about bringing in, and also not just the same people you see at every conference, even though we love all of them, we're friends with everyone. We try to bring in new voices into the community who are maybe from the beauty world, because the hair world's been around for thousands of years and they have so much wisdom and great ideas and a lot of stuff that we can learn from. So that, in fact, we did this all the time ourselves. We very rarely looked at our lash salons and what to do. We met and got to know a lot of hair salons and get to know beauty professionals outside of the lash world, because they've been doing it so much longer. They have all this wisdom to pass off.
People that have the data, right?
Exactly.
Who have the experience.
Who have actually physically experienced it themselves. And there is so much wisdom in that. And that's something you can't pay for.
No.
And I think personally, as far as like certain business techniques or marketing techniques, I mean, you can apply that to really any industry, right? Whether it's
absolutely.
hair, or if you're selling shoes, or whatever the case may be, there's certain things that they teach you, in business school and when you go to school to be a marketer, like has nothing to do with industry specific, right?
Yeah, no, so, business is business.
Exactly. And I love that you guys incorporate other people that aren't just Lash people, because there's so much value in that from the networking alone, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and that's the other part of Lash Con is that it is kind of like a reunion. It's an opportunity for us all to get together and be friends,
and connect with each other. And what's cool about Lash Con, that wasn't expected. I mean, we had parties, we had a cocktail party, we had gatherings and such, but we didn't realize that was going to be what people, I think, most were excited afterwards when they left Lash Con. The first one was like, oh my gosh, I have like 18 new Lash friends. And we heard of all these collaborations, people partnering up, people finding new people to try new ventures, new ideas. And
collaboration.
That was just super satisfying watching all that happen. That was really kind of I think in the back of our mind we wanted to happen, but we didn't know, because often in the past when we've gone to conferences, and it's not, I don't blame anyone. It's just what I think the culture's been. It's
the worst thing is you go there and you feel like a complete outsider. Like you want to be in, because you're struggling with everything. You so want to be a part of everything, but you don't know how to connect with people. Right. I hated that feeling. I hate feeling like I just want to hang out in the bathroom, right? Right. So we really made it a point.
Or at the bar.
Drowning your sorrows.
Yeah. Right? I wish I had a friend.
We wanted to make people feel welcome and included. And that was just the whole vibe and the whole spirit of Lash Con, is welcoming people in, introducing them to people. I meet somebody, I take them on my arm and just introduce them to people, all my friends.
I mean, that was Tussanee's job as the hostess, is she literally went from the first moment the thing opened and just was connecting people, because she said, she'd walk up to someone and say, hey, how you doing? My name's Tussanee. And they go, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And like, do you know anyone here? And I go, no, I don't. Well, let me introduce you to my friends. And Tussanee just walk them over to two other people.
Yeah. I love that.
Yes. And I noticed as I was watching the interactions, especially at the VIP kind of cocktail thing, is that there were people hugging each other who didn't know each other. As I talked to them later, I go, no, I just met them. And I was like, it's really, we kind of, I think we pushed the first domino, and also just kind of self-replicated, where people are just kind of naturally reaching out of their bubble and connecting. And that was something that we just were most proud of, because I think it didn't feel like you didn't belong. I mean, of course, I'm sure someone went to Lash Con and like, well, it sucked for me, but I'm 99% of the people
spirit of the people felt like it was like it was open to them.
Yeah,
so.
And that was a first for us to see at a real conference, and we really hope to do that again. I mean, our next one this coming year, we have parties planned every night. We're gonna have a party Saturday night, Sunday night, and Monday night, even after party, all that. It's gonna be great.
I know I'll have to make a better choice or a better decision with my shoes, because I wore a pair of shoes. I ended up like re-breaking a toe because it was I stressed it out, strained it. So, but I like inflamed an old injury, and I had to like go to the hotel room and like ice my foot and put it out.
Oh my gosh.
But let me tell you, Jenelle,
all right, old lady, like get it together.
So good though. I remember your dress. It was like some like crocodile kind of stretchy skin thing.
Yes,
that was like
my Missoni print.
Oh my goodness.
Themed, like watercolored, but the shoes were a mistake, so I'm going to keep it real next time, wear some probably sneakers and work it out, because my heart was in it, but I was like, this is a problem. So
Tessa's always appreciated your style. She's like
I know you're always wearing something fun, and I appreciate that. I love fashion and style, and I love that form of expression, and it's nice to see people that aren't just like wearing the same boring thing all the time. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but
even though at most conferences I go, black is usually the preferred color, I think, by beauty professionals. Everyone shows up in black and looks really cool and chic and all that.
Now I wear all black every single day, because that's the I don't want to say uniform, but that's just our color.
Yeah, it's your look.
So it's just easier to get everybody to look like they work here. So I have been seeing my little outfit post. Everyone's like, "Can we see you in some color?" I'm like, "Probably not. This is all as colorful as I'm gonna get, is this tie-dye situation." Well, yeah, I just wanted to say one thing about the conference and the vibe sometimes that you get when you go as somebody that's attending an event, doesn't know anybody. I just thought of something when you were saying that when I got a job earlier on working at the Mac store. I was doing makeup, right? So it was like that same situation, like coming and joining in a group and people not like showing that they're accepting of you. Like you'd show up and it was like almost like the Mean Girl Club. Like you had to like fight your way in and like prove yourself and like they're cool, but they're not. It was just such an odd energy to have. And
that's Mac, right?
Sometimes this is early when Mac was like Mac, right? Like
popular. Oh my gosh, it's like everybody wants to be,
But I would sometimes go in my car on lunch and I would like cry because I was like, I just felt so like an outsider. And I was like, I just didn't understand because I just wanted to have fun and wanted to do makeup. I don't know. I just wanted to go and help people in the store and do their little looks. So I just didn't understand what that is. Like, what is the hostility? Why are people so closed off and don't want to include other people? Is it jealousy? Like, I just could never understand, like, where does that come from? When you just start with, I automatically don't like you. Why can't we just move backwards of like, hey, everyone's cool. And then if they kind of do something shady, then you can make a decision. So I think that is something that I didn't recognize at LashCon. So I just wanted to say, I didn't feel like that was the energy there. Yeah. I made some relationships with people and since have done some collaborations, but it was just friendly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I didn't. So good job with that though. Because sometimes it's hard to perpetuate that.
And something we're going to do again, we actually hired someone, an actor, a friend of mine, a friend of a friend, and she was an actor. And we said, we want you to be, was it Fanny Fan?
Annie Fan. And she went around and just welcomed people and started conversations. She was super outgoing and she was dressed kind of clownish. It was really fun.
Yeah.
And that also worked to, bring people in, because the worst thing is that feeling like you don't quite belong or you don't look right or something, it taps into all of our own fears about going through high school, just like, what's wrong with me? I just want to be accepted. Like, who has time for any of that mess anymore?
And you know what's funny, Tuss, is I guarantee, I'm just like, I don't really know, I'm only in my head, but I would put money that every single person there feels exactly that way. Some people are just better at disguising it through humor. I know I tend to lean towards jokes and stuff when I'm uncomfortable. That's just who I am, but we're all the same. We all want to connect and feel uncomfortable. So I think that's something that we should keep in mind when you're at one of these events is like, hey, people probably feel uncomfortable too. And that should be like your own sort of icebreaker to just like take a chance to talk to somebody, because I'm sure that would it's going to make their day. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone just find someone. I mean, I do this when I'm at a meeting or group where I don't know anyone and I just look for someone else who doesn't know anyone. I'll just come up and say hi, say, hey, I'm Paul. How you doing? It looks like are you waiting for someone? Like, no, I don't know anyone here, or my wife dragged me here or something like that. And you're like, hey, me too. Whatever. It's like find a connection and talk about and ask questions. And then before you know, you'll be laughing, talking and make a new friend. And I think if you go to conferences with that kind of idea that there's other people like you looking for that connection, looking for that, you'll find it. One other thing I wanted to point out that we did differently that I really felt made a big difference is that we didn't have, I would say, a table where all the speakers were cut off from everyone. I've seen it where I've been to a conference and speakers have their own tables and they're kind of like in their own little group.
I've been to several. Actually, mostly all of them that I've been to have been in that fashion.
Exactly. And and while I know they're trying to honor the speakers and make them feel like, hey, you guys are VIPs, you came here, did all this for us.
Good intentions.
Good intentions. But the problem, the side effect, I don't know if they realize it almost separates the speakers from the pack so that they're in their own little group. And if you see 3 or 4 people talking, you don't want to go up and say hi because you feel like, well, they're all together, so I don't want to interrupt them.
But it's like the hierarchy, right?
Yeah.
It's creating that unintentional like status level.
Yeah.
Happens just naturally with humans. And I love that you just did a dog reference too. It's like we are pack animals.
Yes.
It's like, it's that unintentional, unspoken like vibe that gets put out there when you do things like that. And it's we did that at our event too, where we spread everyone out from Lash Affair, like everyone had a different table. And next, if we ever have another event again, you guys will 100% have to come. We can do like a live podcast.
Oh, that'd be cool. We'll be there.
stretch goal. Hopefully we'll get to
when live events come back.
Yeah, we'll just keep that on the back burner. So and we were kind of talking about the 2 events you guys did. You had one in-person one, and then this year was the virtual. I just want to give you guys a little bit of feedback live, because I know I filled out that little form and sent it back. But I actually was thinking about this when we set the schedule up to do the podcast. I've been toying around with what I liked better, because I love the in-person for all of those reasons, getting together. You can't, do that online. Yeah. But the ability, because if obviously you have to do it virtually, that's the only option that we have. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. I actually got to see more speakers. I was like bouncing around to the rooms. I didn't have to put my fancy outfit on, although I love that. There was no commuting. I just felt like, I don't know, it's like hard for me to choose which one I liked better. So I think the fact that we do now have this as an option and everyone's like, all right, it is what it is. I feel like you did make the best of it, and it was highly organized. I really don't have anything negative to say about it. I think you guys did a really good job at, pivoting and doing the best of it, and kind of that was really like everyone I talked to in the lash world was like, God, it was kind of like the little highlight of 2020, to just be able to feel like a community and just hear other people. I loved the panels. I loved it. I loved hearing Savannah talk. I loved just everyone's perspective on what was going on. And it just, I don't know, it was cool. It just seemed a little bit more raw in a way when you're just like home doing your thing. So for anyone that's, concerned about the conference and if it's going to be in person or virtual, like I will take whatever option that there is, and just really there's no downside to doing it virtual. Besides the shots at the after party, which certainly will make up for that.
Yeah, virtual shots. We broke the bar at 2 years ago. They said we literally broke their bar. They were running out of stuff.
They had nothing.
They had no idea.
You guys really enjoy yourselves. We're like, yes, we do.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to say, I feel like the Lash Face Jamie have that Brit there. That pub style drink.
It's like a bottom.
I don't know. I feel like maybe that was him.
Yeah, Jamie. It started at 7 a.m. and went all night. No.
I'm just kidding. No, he's fantastic. I'm just thinking about all the different people that came, and like that was the first time I got a chance to meet him and get to know him. So having that in person really is dope too. So
in terms of the difference between the online one and the one in person, what we didn't want to do with the online one was have it be more of the same of what we're all used to with this quarantine, which is Zoom.
Yeah, just a webinar.
Where you have, which is perfectly fine, but we didn't want to have that same kind of vibe where it's just a video.
Or just here's 20 videos, watch them at some point when you can. Yeah, it's
that's good sometimes, right? We're like, I just want to fucking watch the information. I don't need to hear it, just lay it on me. So there's good and bad to that, which is smart to do it in that way. Because you feel more included in the conversation. Like I wasn't participating, but I was like, I felt part of it.
Yeah.
So we planned transitions, and we
had live chats. We had the speakers in the rooms themselves chatting while they're giveaways. We did a lot of giveaways. We actually had a live party on Sunday night, and we had Bailey Sock come.
Basically, people submitted silly TikTok videos. Yeah, and we all went through them together.
And we watched their videos, and we had Bailey Sock come and teach everyone how to do a dance routine, which was really
that was cute. I remember I was in the room. I was like, "Play my dog video." You're like, Jenelle, for a prize, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't get it."
Yeah,
I was like, I didn't want the prize. Like I wasn't doing it to get the prize, but I was like, Zoe was so.
So it was the client
during the filming. During the filming of that video, I was like, she needs her airtime. So
she was awesome, by the way.
Cute. It's one of my favorite videos.
You know what I recently learned the other day when I was listening to a podcast? They were talking about how when you go to business school, how you think they sit in a room and they'll just be statistics and they'll just be very stiff and dry.
Yeah,
it's really the opposite now, where they teach like case studies, and they teach through story and conversation. It's not even like how it used to be. Everyone's learning style is very different. They're feeling that data showing that people are motivated by different ways. Old techniques for learning it's not working, is based on attention spans. I work with a gentleman who's a teacher at Pepperdine. He teaches a luxury branding course. And he was saying how he switched up his second semester, because he was like, all right, just an example. He was like, instead of doing, before it started, he was like, I'm going to do 6 hours of lecture and then 1 hour of conversation. So then he just realized that wasn't the way, and there wasn't any magic in the room. So the second semester, he did the opposite. 1 hour of lecture, 6 hours of conversation.
Oh, wow.
So that, I just feel like that's the new way of learning, is through conversation and talking about, tell me your struggles so that I can do better. And you know what I'm saying? It's not just so much like reading from the book anymore, which I love that. And so that's kind of what I felt like was happening at the conference.
Yeah, because we would have the
conversation.
Yeah, because we'd have the talk, and then afterwards we have not everyone, but we'd have live Q&As.
Yeah.
So in fact, 2 of our speakers were from England. We had Jamie on, and we had Tom Martin on, and they were up at like midnight doing these live Q&As, and it was really special because I think it did create a little bit more of that conversational thing versus just let me just give you a whole bunch of lectures and then you have to walk away and try to pull out of it. Here you actually had a chance to interact and communicate. And so much was going on in the chat room. I mean, people were just totally interacting, commenting,
it
feedback.
Was like,
just flying by, right?
I was like, whoa.
And that, I think, created again a little bit more connection, a little bit more interactivity versus me just sitting there listening for an hour, taking notes. Has its place, but you're right. I think people really, especially now, I think people are craving connection and interactivity, and that's how we learn. So I know from me, when I was in college, and I guess my classes were ahead of their time, but
back
I
in the
worked
1600s.
Yeah, back in the 1600s.
I had to.
No, seriously. That's how
before America was found.
Yes.
Basically, I remember our class, most of my classes, I was in TV, film, and also my minor was in marketing and advertising. So all my classes were all interactive. I mean, if you're going to do an advertising course, you don't sit and listen to lectures. You actually, most of your time, are working on ad campaigns, coming up with ideas, brainstorming and interacting. And I love going to school because it was mostly me hanging out in a room, laughing, coming up with ideas and such with other like-minded people. So I think
that's how people learn, though, right? I think we need more of that. Like, just the way that we've been doing it. Just, I feel bad for the little kids that they're full of all this energy and they're like sitting in a desk. Like, who does that work for? Not a lot of people. People need to be moving around, experiencing, building memories, learning through action. So, I love that. I love you kept my attention, and that's saying a lot. So I was able to sit through the whole thing, and I wasn't like scrolling around like I usually am. So, so we've talked about the in-person event. We've talked about the virtual. I'm sure that there's struggles with putting both of those events on. I'm sure there's some of them are a little bit different, but you know what, we can only imagine, right? If you've never thrown an event before, what goes into that. And sometimes you can't even imagine at all what that takes. But what would you say, each of you, what was the most challenging part of the conference for you? Real talk it too.
Yeah. Well, the first year, because we hadn't done it before, we had just closed the salon. So we were kind of scrambling. We had wonderful goodie bags. Oh my gosh, they were so fabulous, right? We didn't recognize, I realized how much work would go into putting that. Like, we had a full on
it's like $800 worth of goodies.
And we had all these tables and all these volunteers and the system. And we had some problems getting the stuff into the bags and volunteers. And so we realized this has to be like almost like a full-time job the next time. So
someone's role. Yeah.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Even just like the logistics, because I know we've done some things with bags and you're like trying to time everybody getting it there, and then
and then having somebody monitor the bags so that
we had bags get taken prematurely.
You know, we're just like, oh no, you know. So we had to we have to have a system for that. That is something that we're going to be ferocious about. I
had some people who didn't get their VIP bags. I had to do other tricks to make things right by them, and I felt horrible. But we just did not realize that people would just steal them. And we had like 3 or 4 got stolen.
I don't think, let me just intervene here. I don't think that people are trying to steal. I think that they thought that, hey, it's
I deserve this bag.
It's like dessert, right? It's like a buffet with dessert, and you think, I'll just help myself to another piece of pie, right?
Yeah.
So that's I'm going to choose to believe the best about it.
I usually do that, but in this case, I just believe someone said, "I want another one. I want 2." And maybe they thought we had infinite amount, and that's
what I'm saying. I don't think people thought I'm going to take this and do something wrong. I think everyone's like, "Oh, look, there's more stuff.
There's more pie.
It's like favors at a party, right?"
I was like, okay. You never know.
That's
like,
so.
You never know. Sometimes things get taken by accident for sure. Like you put it down, but But also,
my car got taken.
Anyway, so that's what we learned. I learned from.
By the way, what we're going to do next time, just anyone who buys VIP ticket, we actually have more bags than we have VIP. So that way, if we do have something disappear magically, like, oh well, don't worry, I got 5 more in the bag just ready to go.
Yes.
Listen, I'm going to say this on air. In the event that ever happens again, you can totally give my VIP bag to somebody else.
Janelle, that is like so selfless. Are you? Oh my gosh.
No, I feel like I'm the last person that needs that. You know what I mean?
Like
I don't need any of the lash artists. I actually feel bad sometimes taking it. So it's my pleasure. If you want to exclude me from the list, I'm happy to make sure someone else gets it.
That's how we know you're a real friend.
Yeah. Sometimes I end up just coming back and giving the stuff out, and most likely I give everything away usually.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's R&D for you,
what
right?
About you?
For me, basically, looking back, I mean, both years had totally different problems. I think the first year was just emotionally being really in it, because initially we closed our salon in May, and we did this thing in October. So it's not a lot of time between closing the salon and doing a huge conference with almost 300 people in it. It was definitely a shift of mindset. It was definitely a lot of mourning, but at the same time, I felt like it was very productive, because sometimes when you have a huge loss, and if you just sit around and mope, it just goes down backwards,
it's
right?
Terrible.
Yeah.
And this gave me something.
It forced you to be, positive, and sure, at the end when it was over, you were literally sleeping in the booth. I remember you fell asleep, but after the next day when it was over, I'm sure you felt like $1 million, so it was worth it. So I think for me, if that was me, I would have preferred to just dive right into something else. But and it doesn't mean it's not hard, right?
It's actually one of our coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
And we did a talk on this, that whenever there's a big disappointment or something has let you down, the best thing to do is work on a project that you've been wanting to do for a while, because it immediately shifts your mind. So you're not focusing on how painful it is, but you're focusing on something that you've wanted to do for yourself for a while. So it just redirects that energy.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, though, that I learned, especially in the first year, is I need
help.
I need to hire more help. I literally wore every hat. I was the person responsible for all the sponsors. I realized I needed someone whose job was just dealing with sponsors. I was the person responsible for all the speakers. I really need someone to help coordinate that. I was responsible with doing all the AV and all the food setup.
You did the AV?
I mean, I didn't do it myself, but I was involved in all the aspects of the AV.
That can sometimes pose a lot of hiccups. Like I've been at events where you're like, oh, great, the equipment doesn't work. And then they're all looking at you like, what do we do? And we
fix it.
And we had some problems like that. And my background is AV, so I know it, but that said, I should still be punting all that. And same thing, my sister, who's an event planner herself, a producer, she came and helped. I really didn't give her enough, I guess, of the tasks. I should have really handed off more.
She's an event planner.
Yes, she is.
You should have handed all of them. Not all of them, but
she produces $1 million events all over the world. And
I think you can pass the torch.
Yeah. So my plan, and now 2021 or 2020 was different because it was all online and we just didn't have the scope and the size. And I did hire an event company to do all the online stuff. So that really helped me just focus on making sure the speakers got their things done. And then
you mean like the platform?
The platform, yeah. We had the app and the interactive space that we had on the website and all that. So that was all taken care of, and it made my life a lot easier. even then they still said, wow, you really like doing everything, don't you? Because I would just get in there and start doing stuff and uploading and building the website. And like, yeah, this is fun for me.
They sent us like 2 boxes of cookies. They're like, you're the easiest client we've ever had.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a sign. They're like, thanks for all the work you did.
Yeah.
They're like, good job with the job, Paul.
Yeah, I paid them a lot of money so that I could do it for them. It was not the brightest moment for me, but I again, first year, I tend to be very much hands-on. My goal this year, I'm going to hire at least 4 or 5 positions for this upcoming year. And we're going to have a lot more of a team. We did have a lot of volunteers. We had like 25 volunteers, and they were great, but I need still some more paid staff who come on earlier, who don't just show up at the day of the event and go, okay, what do you want me to do? All right, go over there and hang out. But actually are like,
preparation is the sweet spot, right? And the logistics and the coordination, and it's just a lot of moving parts. We've done a couple of things like that. It's kind of like when you do a trade show, right? You got to order all the furniture and you got to set it up. There's always just hectic, the energy that goes along with just doing any event that's live and there's people counting on you. So yeah, it's intense. So, all right. So delegate, that's good. Yeah. Awareness, I think, is half the battle. And I sometimes feel like if you're just either overly passionate about the project, or if you're just like a worker bee, it's really hard to not be like that.
Yeah.
Truly, it's like, how do you can't even help yourself, right? You just have to get your hands in it. So hopefully this year you'll be able to sort of like third time's a charm. You'll start getting more and more comfortable as the conference grows. So that's good.
Yeah. And another thing too, and this is where it's a little difficult for us. We've had to pivot. The conference isn't really about us making a lot of money on it. But beforehand, we were like, well, we want to do the conference and we can at least pull a small salary or something like that. At this point, really, the conference is about building our brand and serving the community. And then we'll make our money through other means and through our webinars, our coaching training and stuff like that. Because the conference itself, if we want to do it at the level we want to do it at, we have to spend a lot of money. It's just, a lot of people go, where all the money go? And trust me, if you want to sit down, I'll teach you where all the money goes.
You'll learn real fast how much a group of chairs cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, what?
Nothing's cheap.
It's like the wedding industry, like in the event industry. Yep. It's like there's just a significant like a markup on things that you rent. So yeah, trust me, it's not always as good as it seems, right?
It's kind of just like any small business. When you first do a small business, you think, oh, all this money coming in. Oh, look at how much money I'm earning, but you don't realize like everything that you're bringing in, that's the gross. You still have to pay rent. You still have to pay electricity. You have to pay supplies, Yeah,
a lot of people say they're a six-figure lash stylist.
Did you net that though?
Yeah, that's not the net. That's a gross probably. Yeah. And then once you sit down, you pay your rent and you pay all your bills. Like maybe you made $60,000. And so while I'm glad you made 6 digits, and that's something I think we had that same feeling. Wow, we made this money, and then I went back and I went through all my expenses.
We spent it all. We're
holy
like,
crap!
What?
Like I broke even.
Yeah,
that's a different feeling.
Yeah, and the first each year was pretty much almost a little more break even, but almost all the money we made, we just put back into LashCon. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go and take a 2-month vacation. Nope, all that money we just made goes right back into next year's planning for the next LashCon and so forth. So, and that's and I think that's why a lot of conferences I've seen come and gone. I think people realize once they do their conference a couple of times, like, man, we're not really making money on this thing. I thought I was going to make $50,000 or $100,000 a year, and they're like, no, I didn't make that. So the conference dies. And so for us, for LashCon to survive and thrive, my goal is not to make this my livelihood. Like I want LashCon to really be our centerpiece. Like, wow, everyone looks forward to it. It's kind of like a reunion for our industry. It's a place for us to connect and learn and grow and become better versions of ourselves. Be recognized. Yeah, we're going to be adding an award show this year, God willing, on Sunday night called the Lashies. And it's going to be small this first year. We're going to start small and build off of that. So that'll be something.
Do you have the categories?
I do not. We are going to do it a little differently. Mm-hmm. So I know a lot of times these things are popularity contests, and we didn't want to do a popularity contest. We want to do something where people get it based on merit. And we also understand there's not just one single person that embodies what it means to be the best of something. Right. Like who's truly the best lash stylist in the world? Like, is there only one? Like I'm going to bet you there's a lot.
Here's the cream.
You know what's so funny that we're talking about this in this manner is I was driving with my husband Paul, and we were listening.
What's his name?
Paul. Yeah, Paul.
Best name ever.
Well, and I commented on something because somebody was like, oh, this is what it was. We drove by a home and it was like a random real estate name that we had never heard before. So he's like, look that up and see what it is. So I Googled it, and their number one thing was #1 realty in the country. So it was like #1. Like, it's just like, what is that? Like, everyone, I'm the best. Says who, first of all? Because a lot of things are subjective. Or like, I'm the most successful. Well, like, that's a conversation that needs to stop, where it's like, my version of success might be the complete opposite of yours. But it's like this whole the best. It's like, let's relax a little bit. And that's not even attainable. And says who? Where are we getting these metrics from?
Did you see the movie Elf?
Where the last brand in the world. Let's cut it out. So sorry, I'm gonna stop now.
It's funny. But Elf
with Will Ferrell. He's a new elf in town, and he walks by this
he's
cafe
in New York.
in New York, and there's a neon sign, "Best coffee in the world," and he comes in. You guys did it! This is the best coffee in the world, and they're just like,
what?
Yeah.
I just watched that a couple weeks ago at Christmas, and I just am very familiar with that scene. Yeah. That's what I mean, though.
Yeah.
How ridiculous is that statement?
Yeah.
Just why do we do that? Just don't.
I think it's American exceptionalism, right? That whole idea that Americans, we are the best, and we have to always we give ourselves awards for everything. So while we want to do an award show we'll call it the Lashies, we'll say for now, it's our working title. But I think what we will do is it's gonna be a little bit different in the sense that we're not gonna have 1,000 categories. I mean, maybe one day
we're not going to have people vote on it.
No, it's not going to be voting. It's going to be people will be submitting essays, and what we're basing this off of is Salon Today. Salon Today is a business magazine. If you're not getting Salon Today, you need to get Salon Today. It's for the beauty industry, for the greater beauty industry. It's a great magazine.
It's all business ideas.
And it's simple, quick to read, good content, great stuff. In fact, really, January, this issue is the best of it all, always, because they go through and give all the best practices that salons submit.
Get so much.
And there's lots of great stuff. But they call it the Salon.
Yeah, it is a good magazine.
Yeah, Salon Top 200 is an honor that our salon had for 4 years. We were regarded one of the top 200 salons in North America, and it's quite an honor because to get in that, you have to do more than just the average work, and you have to write these essays and submit it. But what's cool is in every category, and there are usually like 11 categories, there's anywhere from 10 to 30 selected salons who win in each category. And the reason why they do that is because the truth is they'll like say best customer service. Well, is there really only one company that provides best customer service? Or is there more like a mark like, wow, you do something special. You're not doing the same thing as that salon, but you're still doing amazing service, and you have to submit this survey.
So we're going to recognize you.
So we'll recognize you. So we're going to be doing, I think, two things. We'll have our salon category, and we're going to have the individual lash stylist category. And we're going to probably pick 3, 5, 6 categories in each. And basically you'll submit essays sharing what you do, and then we'll pick the top 5, 10, 15, 20 stylists who show merit, that they do great work, that they're doing something special, that they're doing something unique. And then out of that group, we will recognize them and honor them at this party. So it's not going to be an envelope, open the envelope, please. Who's the best? And that's not going to happen. It's going to be more like, hey, guys, here are the 10 best lash salons when it comes to customer service, and we want to recognize them real quick. Come up here and all that.
So I love that style, because I'm thinking, are you going to say like why they're the best? Because I feel like that's a learning opportunity of like, all right, they're doing this and whatever. I never thought of that. Let me adopt that myself. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of an example, but is that you recognize more?
Well, kind of in the same vein of Salon Today, like the issue in January talks about those best practices.
Yeah,
there will be an outlet to explain why.
Yeah, we haven't all fleshed it out, but Salon Today actually puts out the issue where every salon, they get a little blur like, here's what we do in their category. And so we could do something like that. We just want to
honor people that are doing good work. And we know that it's not just one person. We know that it's many. And also, if you're a single practitioner, right?
Yeah.
Right? How can you compete if you're a single practitioner, like with a salon? We want to honor those gals and guys who are doing something special in their little corner of the world.
Exactly.
Because that matters to me just as much as somebody that has a 10-bed studio.
Yeah.
I really worked really primarily, but this is way before Lash Affair, but like by myself. And I'll tell you, I was booked solid, and I knew what I was doing in that treatment room, and it was so much more than lashes, right? Yeah. So that's connection. But I mattered to my clients, right? So it doesn't matter if it's 1,000 people or 100. It's what you're doing, and you're giving back to the world, right? Yeah. And sometimes it's just one conversation with one person. So I love that you're doing that. I think that more isn't always better, right? And I think it's nice to be recognized when it's just your solo operator. So that's good.
Exactly. Cool. And and then when we realize, we also just need to get done. So to keep it possible to do on top of all the other things.
That's where it's a good time to announce it, or talk about it with you, because it keeps us accountable.
And we keep it short and small. And it'll probably be like an hour long. It's not gonna be like this 3-hour Oscar award type ceremony. It'll be simple and short, and then afterwards we'll just open up the bar and everyone will hang out and have fun and celebrate together, and should be cool. So that's that'll be this coming year. Yeah,
that is so we're intending on it to be an in-person event,
God willing. If the world, obviously I think today I read some horrible news that, like in California, Moderna, they're stopping the vaccine because there's too many side effects or whatever to it. So there's definitely going to be ups and downs this year, but I'm hoping, if all the vaccines get put out there and things eventually work their way out, I could see by end of summer, life will be kind of virtually normal in a sense. And I think we can have a big live event without having to do all sorts of crazy hoops to jump through with testing and masks and all that. We hope. Now we may have to pivot. It's in the back of my mind that, hey, if summer comes and things are still not moving along, or if there's a new strain or whatever, something crazy is going on, we may kick it back into February or something like that next year, and maybe just do an online event again. Maybe we'll do, because like you said, I think it worked. People really liked the online event. They really enjoyed it. And so it has a place in the world. Some people said, could you do an online event halfway through the year and then do the live event the other half? Like maybe have 2 events, one's online, one's that, or maybe we make them all online. We'll see.
Well, it's good that you're remaining flexible, because I think the most important thing is not to really dig your heels too much into one idea, because then that just makes it harder to transition and accept, all right, we're going to pivot. So that's good for you guys. Yeah. So now I asked you before, what was the most challenging part of the conference, but what was your favorite part?
Well, for me, it's an easy one for me. Though the first year I didn't sleep. I literally didn't sleep. I think I slept 4 hours in 4 days, whatever it was. I still love the social aspect. There's not enough I can say about just finally meeting and hanging out with everyone that I've connected with online, people who I look up to, people who I admire, and meeting new people I had never met. And also now they're friends and we're communicating via Instagram or texting. It's just really, really cool. For me, probably people know me and Cheryl we're like Lash Nerd buds. And Cheryl from Untamed, we just met her a month or 2 before the event. And then she came out to the event and we got to be friends. And I know for me, that was, and Jamie too. Cheryl and Jamie were the 2 people that for me, I got so excited to connect and get to know and become friends.
I love talking with him. He's so funny. And that's, to me, I put humor over everything.
Yes.
That is my number one thing I look for in people. So just people need to have a little bit more fun and relax. So he does it for me in that sense. So
he helps break up the monotony of life and business and all that. So for me, that was really easy. I could have not if we just hung out for 3 days and just hung out and had coffee in the morning and had a party at night, I would have been happy. The business stuff was great and I loved it. And I was honored to have all these speakers come and share all this information. But really for me, it was the connections and the community that made it. And, even this last year, we did that again with our party and our chat rooms and our wall. We had a wall in the app so you can post photos and connect with people. And I saw people commenting on each other. So we did create a little bit of that same community even last year, even though it was all virtual. What about you?
For me, it was the laughing. The laughing when Paul and I are putting things together and we're bouncing ideas off each other, we just crack each other up and we just have so much fun just coming up with absurd ideas and then actually doing them.
Well, here's what happens. Usually Tuss thinks of something completely out of this world. How about we do the conference on the moon? And then I'm like, and I have to fight this. I'm like, no. And I've learned we try to change this thing. Yes, and is now our system, because we learned this from Second City, where when they do their brainstorming, you don't ever say no. When someone's sharing the room an idea, you don't go, no, that won't work, or that's not a good idea.
It shuts people down.
It shuts people down. It doesn't encourage more ideas. So what you say is yes and the example they used in this guy that I heard a podcast with the guy from Second City, he goes yes and. So someone comes in the room and go, I got an idea. Why don't we do a meatball flavored shake? And then instead of saying, no, that's a bad idea, he goes, yes, that's an interesting flavor. And what are some other interesting flavors that we could try for our shakes? And so
there is so much importance in that, because I've learned, right, with, I'm used to working by myself. So having this office and working with people has been a learning curve for me too. Yeah. So I've had to learn, cause I'm the first one to be like, no, but that isn't great for people. No. I had to learn that, I don't want to, prohibit you from feeling comfortable and sharing ideas. We had a brainstorming session the other day. We have a couple new products coming out this year. Woo-hoo. Yes, very soon, within the next month or two. I have one coming in the next, I think, beginning of March, and then hopefully by end of April. So you
awesome.
Just get your hands on. You're on the list. So we were doing a brainstorming session, and they pulled up the doc in the conference room, and we're going down the list, and I was like, it's a little weird, but keep it, because we could use it somewhere else. So I just have learned to, just be a little bit more encouraging, because I'm not coming from a good place. I don't mean any negativity, but I could see why it would come off like that. Because some people are just like, oh, I don't want to speak up anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's where Tuss has learned. I've had to learn with her, and I still struggle at times. Let her come with her ideas. She's an idea person. Tuss is the type of person who will dream and break all the molds and do things differently. And I tend to be the logistics person. My job is to figure out, take her vision, go, okay, you just said you want to do this. How can we make that happen and make it reality? And that's where a lot of fun and the creativity. And like you said, I think, we
laugh a lot.
We enjoy. Yeah.
And then
that's important, as long as you can still laugh at each other. But that's the dynamic between Paul and I, where it's you got one creative and one person that's all right, how are we actually going to execute this dream of yours and make it a reality? So both are equally as important. So it's good to have that balance. I had a question where what can we look forward to next year, but we kind of already transitioned into the award shows and anything else that you're thinking of, the way that the day will flow, as far as because I like the way you structured it with conversations and stuff like that. So is there anything during the day, do you think that that'll run a little bit differently?
Yeah. I mean, first off, the thing is going to grow. It's not going to just, and if we can do it live, we really want to expand it. So we're hoping on Saturday, this is almost becoming more of a 3-day event, and really for some people will be a 4-day event. So the 3 days is the Sunday, Monday is going to be focused on business, and we are going to shorten some things up a little bit and try to create more space for community and hanging out. So we're going to have 2-hour breaks for lunch, so that people can really, and we're not going to have it on site. You can go to the local restaurant, hang out, connect with everyone. We're going to show everyone where to go. So we want more chance for people to talk. And also we're going to have a huge vendor area. Last year we had a big one, but it was at the back of the room. This year it's going to be in the lobby. So we can have around 30 vendors is the goal. And so pretty much, God willing, we'll have every major lash brand there. And then some. And
then also time, a structured time, so that people can actually have conversations and visit the vendors, because last time it was so
back to back.
There wasn't much time to connect, and we're really going to make that a focus.
But we'll have, so on Saturday, we're going to have 2 pre-events, we'll call them right now as they are. One is going to be hopefully with podcasters. So Jenelle, we'll probably have you there, God willing, and as well as others. And it'll just be a meetup where we're going to hang out at a local restaurant and have everyone show up. And I don't know if we'll have 100 people show up or 5. I'm expecting we'll have probably more than around 100 or so, and we'll just hang out and have the time to meet your favorite podcasters, meet each other, network, connect.
We're gonna laugh
and lots of laughing. Yes, we'll have a clown with a nose that you can squeeze.
No clowns.
No clowns. Oh, okay.
I don't like clowns.
I love clowns. Slapstick clown humor.
No,
oh my God! But the visual of a clown.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right.
No, I don't do the clown, but he always, we go to Cirque du Soleil. He always loves the clowns.
Yes, I do. I like clowns.
God. That is so disturbing to me.
It's totally disturbing.
No, but do you know, there's actually a reason why, I looked into this, why people are innately afraid of clowns. It just creeps people out.
Why?
It's because the painted face doesn't move and you can't read the expression.
Because they have that smile on the face. Yeah.
It's disturbing to us because we can't perceive it like how normally I'm looking at you, she's laughing. It's just we don't connect well with it. So I was like, that totally makes sense. Like we're all doing this now with the mask thing.
Oh, I know.
Similar.
Clowns with masks.
Clowns, it's grotesque. I don't know.
Oh gosh.
You know,
Not
like,
no clowns, please.
No clowns.
Okay, no clowns. But
I'm taking back my gift bag. No clowns. Taking it back.
Yeah, so no clowns, but we will have a chance for the network and hang out. It'll be very loose. It may be a little Q&A, maybe, or it may be a mix of Q&A and then just people hanging out talking. Then we want to do another meetup after that, and that one we're still working with exactly, but I have some parameters, and that will be for a certain segment of our industry that maybe gets underserved is what I'm thinking. But we'll have that, and then the evening we have our VIP cocktail party like we did last year, and then we'll have an after party for everyone all together. Then the new thing we're going to add on Sunday is we're going to be finishing a little earlier, like both days last year. I think we finished at 6 o'clock or whatever it was, and it's just a really long day. So we're going to try to finish more around 4:30. And then we're going to have a cocktail time out in the vendor area. So you can go out, meet with the vendors, and we'll probably be buying everyone a drink or two on us. And you'll be able to hang out and get to talk to people and learn about the products and hang out and socialize and do that. And then the thing will wrap up around 6. Then you can go get the dinner and then come back around 8 and we'll do the lashies in the evening on Sunday night.
But I forgot to mention that I definitely want to have dancing. I love dancing.
Okay,
dancing
we will have dancing.
So much fun. Like to make the opportunities, not you have to dance, but like it's going to be like you want to
again seeing Lash Best Jamie dance. that was good. I saw a video. I actually wasn't there when it happened, but I got to see Jamie dance.
I just remember the first year I danced so much. My feet were so sore and so swollen. I had to completely change like the shoes I was going to wear the next day.
My foot is finally starting to feel better.
Oh, that's right.
Like today. Yeah. So, but I'm committing to not hindering myself because to me, I'm such a social person. So it's very sad when I like have to tap out because of a self-inflicted wound. So it's yes to the dancing, yes to the laughing. I love all that. If you do the cocktail hour in the vendor booth, you should almost have like a drink station set up at each. Like Lash Affair booth can have like the Lash Teeny or like some mystery.
Oh gosh, what a great idea!
You know, and just
yes,
have, like,
and
be like,
let me just say this. Yes, but I don't know how to say this. The hotel won't let us. They won't. Oh, the hotel won't let us. They control the bar. That's all them.
Yeah.
That's our contract.
We gotta figure something out. I like that idea.
We can't bring anything outside in. No food or drink. Everything has to be them. That's how they make their money. I mean, no offense, but they're going to bill us for all the liquor. But that's like
that's
something cute.
Now we could do something where we ask them to make certain drinks, and maybe we can put stations or something like that. I can see that. That's not a bad idea.
It can't hurt to ask and throw out the idea. You never know; they might have a fun solution that goes.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially if we come to the idea, and then we say, well, can we have you set up a bartender in the maybe Lash Affair? You guys set up we set up their bartender in your place or something like that. Anyhow,
I'm just the bartender now. I'll just. That just works stuff out. I'm
no swag.
And we're good.
Just
throwing gift bags to people. Gift bag.
Here's your drink. Here's your gift bag. Yeah, there we go. You're people will love you. By the way, you're gonna be the person that everyone's gonna hang out with.
I'd be terrible at that job. No, I'm just kidding. So, all right. Well, thank you for really giving us a sneak peek at like what to expect. It sounds like you guys are learning and improving every single opportunity that you can. So, what? Kind of switching into not as fun of a topic, but I think it's valuable for people because you guys are in California.
Yes.
As a lot of our
the best state in the country.
Yeah. So I kind of just wanted to hear from you guys, like, you know, because obviously you get a different view of what's happening when you're watching the news, or I highly recommend not doing that. But, you know, it's just different when you actually talk to real human beings on the ground who are directly impacted. Obviously, we all are, but in different degrees. Obviously, California is very different than Arizona, right? And virtually, like, it's really like, it's not back to normal, of course. There's obviously a lot of fear but businesses are open. Like there's virtually, like you have to wear a mask when you walk into a restaurant, but you can take it off. Like there's not many restrictions here. And that's why I really like this state, because they really look out for small businesses. How obviously it's not been easy for anybody, but I mean, how has this been? Like, obviously for you guys now, I mean, we're almost approaching the full year mark of going through this pandemic. I mean, what is it like sitting here in January of 2021? Like, I know you guys talked to many lash artists there. Like, kind of what's the general consensus? Are people losing hope? Are people more hopeful? Do we feel like there's a, light at the end of the tunnel? Like,
I think it's super closed. I mean, like you mentioned, going to a restaurant, you can't go to a restaurant here. I mean, they don't even have the outdoor. I mean, you can call ahead.
LA County, actually Orange County, we found out, we were out there a day and driving around, and then Orange County, they're like, screw it, we don't care.
It was like
restaurants are open everywhere, and at least in Newport Beach they are. And it was crazy to see just literally thousands of people walking around there, even people without masks on, which is like, you don't see that in LA County where we live. If you don't wear a mask, people like, hiss at you and throw tomatoes and such.
We live in a really Asian community. We live in Arcadia, and people even wear masks in the car.
Well, it's normal. I think it's acceptable and socially acceptable and normal to wear masks. In fact, I learned, and I don't know if people know this about in Asia, reason why you wear a mask, you see people wearing masks in Asia, is not because they don't want to get sick.
It's for other people.
It's because they are sick and they don't want to get other people sick. And they're wearing a mask so they don't cough their germs all over the place and get people sick. And I never knew that, because I always thought, that's so weird. I see someone walking around, some Asian gal, she has a mask on, like, does she really think she's not going to get sick? And then I'm like, no, you idiot, Paul, you're so insensitive. Like, that's not why she's wearing the mask. She's wearing the mask because she doesn't want to get her family or her friends and people that she loves. It's actually very selfless. And I think that's something that we don't really see a lot in the United States. It's been very much my rights, and I won't ever mask it. You can't make me do it. And I'm like, you know what, guys, maybe if we all just showed a little selflessness and cared about others, we would see some better results. With that all said, it is, what's going on in California is a crime. I mean, I really feel like there are businesses shutting down. There are people leaving the industry. I don't know how many, I don't have any numbers, but I know a lot of people are just throwing in the towel and giving up. It's very sad.
For salons.
More than enough, right?
Yeah.
What we see is that most people are going underground. You can't not, I mean, I think they just lifted it, but
lifted what?
The work.
No,
they were back on it.
No, you're not.
Okay, so anyway, so there are a couple. I mean, if you have a salon, usually what they've done is they just paper up the windows and the lights are on in there, and
we have
they say it's closed.
Officially outside. Yeah.
There's also a nail salon in our business, and everyone is in the back. Doing where it can't be seen.
There's 2 hair salons. They put up curtains to block the front. And the like you said, the nail salon's working. We started working. We finally said we're done. We were closed 7 months of the year of last year, and technically speaking, California had required, I think, really when it came down to it, was 9 months everyone to be closed, and we're still closed in California, and I believe it's still another couple more months. So technically speaking, in a 14-month period or so, people have been required to be closed 11 or 12 months or whatever. It's insane what the state of California is doing.
It's really insane.
We are licensed.
I mean, it's not just to your point, it's not like closing the restaurants. You're not preventing people from getting together. What's now happening? They're just going over each other's homes.
Yeah.
You're not stopping, Linda from getting her lashes done. You can't stop a woman who wants to get lashed. She's figuring it out. So it's like this illusion that we're like sticking to these rules. It's like, that's not how you can't tell people what to do. They're gonna
not Americans.
Right?
No,
or just really anywhere. If you want to get your service done, you're gonna get it done. So I just don't think that these decisions are data driven, and I think that there's some serious repercussions.
Yeah.
And we're only seeing the start of it. So it's like killing small businesses. So my heart breaks. Like it really just breaks for so many of our colleagues, and everybody has worse in different degrees or whatever. So I don't want to poor Lash Affair, but we were we're going to do all these things, and that some of the things that we wanted to do just got stunted, and see the pause button was hit, and it's fine, everyone, we're figuring it out and it's all great, but there are just so many people that can't do that. And we're talking about growing the business, we're talking about people just being able to feed their kids.
Yep.
That's a different story. And what are their options?
No,
you know what I mean? Like starve. Well, really, you're forcing people to go into crime and do shitty things.
Yeah.
It's ultimately, this is when people feel like their hands are tied, hopefully they're not going to crime, but not everybody has better options. Maybe people don't have a skill set. Maybe they just were, a professional server, and that's fine. There's plenty of nice restaurants where you make a really great living doing that, but you don't have a quote unquote, like a trade skill set. So that to me, I can't even imagine what people are going through in that sense. And it breaks my heart, and it's just so sad. And you guys are unfortunately getting the brunt of that.
Yeah.
It's
crazy. And the thing that's unfortunate is that when it comes down to way they've set it up, like, we're trying to protect you guys. We're trying to keep the virus from spreading. So we're going to shut you all down and keep you from working. And yet, who got the worst outbreak in the last 3 months? California. We had the most tight restrictive rules. Our
county was the most restrictive, and yet
we're the worst county in the country.
So honestly, what does it matter?
I mean, it's like both sides. We make sure no one makes any money, and the small businesses and really the poor. I mean, lower class people are hurt the most through all this. Middle class people and upper class people are like, yeah, things have been good. Actually, I've been getting things for cheap, and it's been nice and relaxing. Save a lot of money. I mean, they're talking about, when things finally open, like half the country is like more savings than they've ever had. They just can't wait to start spending again. But for the people who are shut down, the everyday person, the blue collar worker, the restaurant worker,
the majority of the people that make up this country.
Yeah, they're like, we've been suffering for a year now with almost no help. I mean, California, they believe now that the unemployment fraud was about $9 billion was stolen from California. And yet there's people I know who couldn't get an unemployment check. Like, they weren't able to get any unemployment because the whole system is so broken and so slow. It's really heartbreaking.
So broken. Really, this highlighted basically, because, we were talking with our team about, all the relief that businesses are getting and are not getting.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is if you don't have your ducks in a row, you're not getting that. So, and I think that I think about really like all the lash artists I know. A lot of them are just not as organized as you know what I mean? Sometimes you think that you are, but like being an entrepreneur, there's a lot of boxes you have to check. And sometimes you're not even aware that some of the boxes exist.
Yeah.
That's why I love like this business conference, because it sheds light on some things that, it's more than just doing the treatment. So, you find yourself in a scenario where like, all right, you're applying for something and you're like, oh God, I don't have any of that info. And then you find yourself like, I'm shit out of luck. So I think it's been really eye-opening for a lot of people too, for people that maybe wanted to start their own business or had it and then realized like, hey, this is a lot harder than I thought. So, all the people that you've talked to, do you feel like there'll be people, like closing the doors and really looking for employment and like to go to work at a salon? Or do you feel like there'll be an uptick on more people that will go into like salon suites? And I don't want to say underground because that's not really underground, because right now there really isn't underground.
Yeah.
But like kind of doing their own thing. Like, what's your perspective on that? Do you think, which direction do you think that will go in?
I think in California, salon suites are really taking a big hit because basically they can't open. Like, I see salons opening and working underground, but I don't know any salon suite
because they're under the mandate. They have to shut the doors.
Yeah, they
shut the doors and they're not able to take the rents. So people can't even get in there.
Yeah, it's tougher on salon suites.
The people that I know who worked in salon suites, they left and they're just doing mobile,
working at home,
working at home, going to people's houses.
I do think there's a winnowing process going on in California. I do think a lot of people are going on to new careers. I don't know what percentage. I have not done a study on that, but I do believe there are people who are just giving up. I mean, you just can't go 9, 10, 11, 12 months without making an income, especially if you were new at this. Like, you just started out.
I mean, that's crazy talk. That's crazy talk. I think because that was me at one point, as it was you. When you start a salon, you're just trying to build, right? And if somebody sweeps the rug under, I wish I could help more people.
And unfortunately there's
in our own little ways, but it's just like, I wish I had all the funds to just like write checks to these people to support.
Sorry,
I'll let you finish your point.
No, I was to say, I mean, you said that, and I thought, I wish we had a fund. Like, it would have been cool if we were something thing out there. I know PBA has something where they were helping salons, but it was like $400 or $500. It wasn't like money, life-saving money. I mean, most salons, like when we had our salon, we were paying $8,000 a month in rent. I mean, $8,000 of rent, you know, for.
And then the payroll, that doesn't even cover anyone's pay. $400 is like, if you have a family, that's like a groceries for the week, you know? So
no, our payroll was like $50,000 a month. So, I mean, really comes down to it that you can't get by on just, you know, $500 here, $1,000 there. And the PPP loans, you know, while the first round is here and the new one just started last week, or actually started today. Actually, I know one of my banks said they reached out, hey, you can do PPP. And I think, by the way, if you're a lash salon or you're a stylist, if you didn't pay yourself with a payroll check, guess what? You're not getting PPP loans. Like you can't just say, yeah, I paid myself cash last year under the table, and now I need a PPP loan. They're going to be like, well, you have to prove your payroll. Like you got to show what you did.
Right. And then I know a lot of this is a cash business, right? So it's like on one hand, you think you're being slick, but then you're kind of really screwing yourself. So
totally
it's hard to juggle, and it's just a hard conversation, I think. So I think, you know, my heart just goes out to the people that are struggling, and hopefully, you know, we'll get some relief soon, and hopefully it won't be just exodus out of the lash industry. Hopefully start to build again and sort of just, you know, reach back out to their clients and sort of build from there. But
and by the way, let me just say one thing for anyone listening. It's okay if you took a break from lashes. It's okay if you said, you know what, I went and did Uber, or I went and did whatever. I just started working so I can make money. It's not like that's the end of your career. At one point when I was working in Hollywood, the company I worked for shut down, and overnight I was out of a job, and I had to actually became a mobile notary for a short time. I just took the job. My friend had it.
Yeah. Like, be humble.
Okay.
Like, it's okay. Like
it's okay.
I listened to a really inspiring podcast. I can't recall which one, but it was a woman who was an immigrant. And she came over and she's like, I had $5 in my pocket. I scrubbed toilets. I did whatever. She's like, you can't be above doing work.
Yeah.
Then she went into real estate. Then she was flipping houses. Now she has a skincare brand. And it's like she has this empire. So I think don't let your ego get in the way, because there's just nothing wrong with providing and doing what you need to do, and everybody has a place. And I just think that's a healthy way to look at it. It's like, don't think badly about yourself if you have to start, you know, doing Uber or whatever the case may be. Just nothing wrong, because the alternative is what? Starving is not better, right?
Robbing people.
Allowing that grace to be okay with this is only temporary, and we're building and going in a different direction, right?
Yeah.
I think one way to make that happen a little bit easier in the mind is to recognize your identity isn't what we do.
Yeah.
That is not our identity. So when you know the company closed and you became a mobile notary, you're like, this isn't who I am, right?
And I found fun. I found fun in the work itself. I mean, I've done many odd jobs in my life. I've told Tess I can make any job fun. Yeah.
You're like, you know what I mean? Just make it work.
Any job can be fine. I can make fun in any job. I've worked in hotels. I've worked in restaurants. I've worked on mobile notary. I've worked in film. I've done it all. And I've always enjoyed every job. Tessa's like always said, you know, noticed you always seem very happy wherever you're working. I'm like, it's okay.
You have a happy personality, and that's a good trait. And being able to just make the best out of any situation, and, you know, not constantly reminding yourself of the things you don't have, and just being okay with the things you have. It's mindset. And it's so funny. You keep hitting on all these recent conversations that I've been having with people where, you know, it's like Lash Affair. This is not my identity. This is my job.
Yeah.
It's my business. It's the brand, but it's not who I am. And I think that it's really hard for people to wrap their mind around. And I watched that. What was the movie I just watched? Soul.
Oh, so good.
So good. And that's kind of what stemmed this conversation of like realizing like you're not your job.
Yeah.
And you're not, you know, don't save your life until this moment where you think it's going to happen. I won't give away the movie, but like, whoa, I was like, this is not where I thought that movie was going to go. But there was a lot of hard lessons in there to like wrap your head around that life is short, and it's about how you make people feel and how you make yourself feel. It's not the work that you do. I mean, of course, that can be great and do a lot of good things for people, but I think to have that distinction and is important. I'm glad you brought that up. So.
Yeah. I used to tell my friends, if I'm not working in Hollywood, just kill me. I mean, I literally thought that's my identity. I had to be in Hollywood, had to work in films. And anything less than that was considered failure. And you know what? I worked in Hollywood for, 10, 15 years, whatever it was. And you know what? I walked away from it fine. And I didn't, because my identity wasn't in it. That wasn't me.
What a shitty construct to build for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? This for failure. Like, it's not black and white like that. There can be transition, and then you can go back and forth, and life. It's kind of crazy how horrible sometimes we are to ourselves without even realizing all the stress and the pain and the fear that we instill in ourselves, and these standards that we try to live up to that don't even serve us. It's not good. So I think that I'm hopeful that that's what people kind of took away from 2020 is that, maybe there is a little bit more to just this daily routine that I feel like I have to do, so that's good. And it just allows people just to be a little bit less stressed and, more flexible, but.
Go watch Soul. Go watch it. It really will change.
Oh, good.
World. Yeah.
So good. Just such a cute movie. I'm so glad that I was encouraged to watch that. So I recommend that.
Definitely.
So this is kind of my last question. So kind of really just, I don't know if we already just said it, but what advice would you give to anybody that is struggling?
Gosh, a little bit. Yeah.
Well, it kind of goes back to the same question, like knowing your identity, right? So I said, like when we closed the salon, that was like one of a life disappointment. It was a big life lesson, and it was painful, super painful for me. But it didn't kill me because I recognized that my identity wasn't in the salon. It wasn't in the 13 years that I'd invested. It wasn't in all those things. Yeah, it was painful, but I was really faced with who I really am. And when it came down, when everything else was stripped away from me, all the financial security, all the work that my hands had created, I recognized that I believe that I'm a child of God, and that my identity rests in what Christ has done for me. And that's secure. That's something that can't be changed by hunger, by despair, by even death. And so that is what gives me the most peace. That is my anchor. There's one of my favorite hymns. It's called "It Is Well," and it means it is well with my soul. And it was penned by a man named Horatio Spafford, who lost his son in the Chicago fire, and he decided to they decided to go to Europe for a vacation just to kind of recover from the son's death. So he sent his wife and his children, the remaining kids, on a ship. It was a cruise. This is in the 1800s, right? And he had some business stuff that he had to take care of, and he was going to go the next day. And what happened was that his wife sent a telegram, all were lost at sea. So he lost his other children. And while he was on that ship, going
to England, I think,
to England, for this recovery, lost his son, lost his kids. He wrote this song that said, "It is well with my soul," meaning that even though the sea rages around, everything falls down, knowing who he is in God and the promises that God has made him, he knows it is well with his soul. So anything can happen. I'm not saying that it's easy, but knowing where your identity is, and that if your identity isn't something that can be taken away or corrupted or broken, you're going to be at a loss, right? And
disappointment,
so,
right?
Yeah,
I mean, external validation.
Yeah. So if I know that if our lives are marred by sickness, death, separation, I know that it's still going to be okay as well with my soul because of the promises of God.
And I think that's great. And I would say that, but so not to repeat you, I'll say one other thing that for me, 2020 was like, and just learning over the last year, and I've always kind of felt this way, but 2020 really tested that. I always like to say I hold loosely to my plans, because if you hold tightly to your plans, that's how you become bitter and old, because man, I've met so many people who are older, and it's just, it should have been this, or could have been this, or I could have been a champion. Or whatever.
I could have been a doctor.
Doctor, yeah.
Yes, the coulda, woulda, shoulda. It's like, it didn't happen that way because it didn't.
It didn't. And it's because if you hold tightly to your plans, I mean, I think the joke is what? Tell God your plans. If you want to make God laugh, tell God your plans. Because God's like, he knows that, you know what, you have a lot of great plans, and I'm not saying don't have plans,
but I may have something better.
He might have some better, or life just takes away of like 2020, kicks you in the ass, and all of a sudden you have to pivot and change. And I think those who hold loosely to their plans and are willing not to say they're entitled to like an easy life, or I'm entitled that everything should go the way I want it to go, but just knows how to be really flexible and can bend with the wind and can come and go. And you know what? It says, wow, 2020 came, and so we pivoted. That's the word of 2020, right? Pivot, pivot, pivot. And you just found a way, another way. You think outside the box, and you see these challenges as forcing you to be creative and think outside the box, because the old ways of thinking are not going to get you to where you want to be in the future. You're always going to have to evolve and change, and that's only going to come when you are more flexible and have some tenacity and just a real grit. But in the end, you have to be able to hold loosely to those plans, because if you just hold tight, man, you're just going to be angry and pissed off and just not go anywhere. In fact, you're going to be stuck in the past. And so I refuse to do that. And I want to be able to bend and go with the future. So, hey, 2021, we have our plans, and we have some things we want to launch and some new ideas. And I'm 100% behind those, and those are written down and in the books, but I am ready to change and go a different direction if life says, you know what, God and the world's like, nope, that's not going to happen. Okay, that's all right. Something cool will happen. We'll make the best of it.
Right. And that's probably why you are able to maintain, a happy outlook, right? Where it's kind of foolish of us to think like, I know what's going to happen. I know better than the universe. It's like, that's silly, right? It's like, you don't have that control. It's like, don't not be motivated. Don't not make the plans, but just accept that you don't have control over all this, right? You have to be a passenger, because it's control really is an illusion. And I think ultimately you're just setting yourself up to, like you said, be bitter and angry. And that's something I'm trying to work on too, is just lowering my expectations. And there's no, I should have did this, or no, that's just, if you want to do something differently, every day is a new day, right? No need to live in the past. It's just not a healthy way to be. So
plan big.
That's really good advice. That's good advice. Just roll with the punches, keep it moving, not go into this little ball and dig your heels in, like I said earlier, and just like commit to what should have been. It's like, just deal with what is reality, right? So
absolutely.
That's good advice, guys. Do you have a favorite quote or anything that you kind of live by? I know Shelby does this thing too, but I've been trying to think about things to say at the end, and a couple people do this, and I kind of admire it because it says a lot about people.
Okay, so one of my favorite quotes is by Bill Gates, and it is, your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning.
Yes. I love that, because I always say feedback is a gift, whether it's good or bad. What the worst thing is that somebody doesn't speak up. That's such an opportunity. I think that a lot of people shy away because they don't want to hear negativity. It's like, nobody wants to hear they did a shitty job or whatever. But welcome it with open arms, because that's how you do better. That's how you build. And there's nothing better than somebody coming to you and complaining, but then you listening to them and course correcting. That's how people feel heard. And I know that anytime that we've ever had a customer complain at Lash Affair, those people end up becoming our best customers. Best. Because you're giving them an opportunity to speak their mind. So that's a good one. How about you, Paul?
Gosh, I'm one that I can't ever remember quotes. I'm so bad. Like when people like sing lyrics to songs, I'm always like, I don't know the words. I just don't remember them. Same thing with movie quotes. My friends always like zingers back in the 80s, right? When movies were just full of quotes, like every Arnold movie always had a one sing. I mean, I'll Be Back. I'll remember that. But most of them, I'd be the one kid in the group, like everyone's sharing quotes, and I would jump in and go, they didn't say that, Paul, in the movie. I'm like, well, it was kind of like that. And they're like, oh my gosh, you're horrible at quotes. But so I don't have any
like a motto or anything, but I mean, you kind of just answered it where you're just
a little bit. I got one that I liked, and I actually saved it. So I went onto my computer and I looked up one. I went, oh yeah, that's right, I saved one. And this one is really good because it really helped me to look at the customer experience. So I'm going to read it instead of saying what I memorized. I said, this is from Otis Williams. It goes, good enough is the enemy of excellence. It's no longer good enough to meet expectations. It's time to exceed expectations and in the process, set new ones. And I just love the idea. Good enough is the enemy of excellence. I think in the beauty industry, when you're in the service industry, it's so easy just to blend in and do what, the salon you worked for was like, oh, I'm just doing what they did. Or I just follow this one trainer and I just do what they did. That's not enough. Good enough is not going to take you to that next level. You're not going to be the highest paid lash stylist by being good enough. You're going to be the best paying lash stylist because you're exceptional at marketing and you're exceptional at lashes and you're exceptional at customer service. And it doesn't mean copying and just doing what everyone else does. Look what everyone else does and then go the opposite direction. Like find what else everyone else is doing and be different, stand out, be okay being that black sheep, be okay being that person that does things like if everyone's doing 2-hour appointments, maybe you do a 2.5-hour appointment and go longer. You get to charge more, by the way, too, because you give more detail to the experience and you're not about me. I remember like 5 years ago, it was all about 30-minute appointments, 60-minute appointments. It was like everyone was trying to do these fast appointments. Thankfully, that's changed. It's insane. How in the world?
How do you cleanse and I get the gel pads and the tape? How do you?
No,
you don't. You just get them in, you throw on a few lashes, kick them out. But that's changed. Thank God. That's no longer the trend. But that said, you just find what people are doing and go and do something. So for me, I'll just leave that to one I like. I got a bunch of those, but that's the first one popped up on my search on my computer.
Well, that's a good one. I like that one.
Thanks.
Well, I have one more surprise for you guys. I just have to go get up and grab it. So I'll be right. Just give me one moment.
Okay.
We'll end this on a good note.
We're going to see your dog.
Oh, I hope
one of your dogs.
Is it really? We're getting
a dog treat.
She's got smash face dogs, which are the cutest dogs.
A pug and
ever. They're like dog with pig face.
And then brindle.
Let's see, is it?
Oh.
We should get our pug.
No, our pug's still sleeping. Our daughter, our house doesn't wake up till like 11, 12 o'clock. Yes!
So, Mr. Toy has his, hold on, let me get it. Where's the?
Hey, sweet baby.
What's he got?
It says Lashgasm on it.
Lashgasm, it's a Lashgasm pig.
Oh my goodness.
He has a Lashgasm.
Oh, I love it. Look at
you
that.
We're matching.
Oh, you are matching. You guys are so cute. And
hi, Smokey.
His brindle coat kind of looks like tie-dye.
There's your people.
Yeah, it goes with your jacket or your shirt. Yeah, you look like you guys are blend together.
We had a T-shirt and we just cut it up. We sacrificed one so that we could give them to the dogs. I put it on him today so that I could show you guys. Very special.
So people know. Jenelle once in a while just blesses us with photos of her dogs. She'll just text us something. It's so cool.
I'm a creep because I still have the photo of your dog in my favorites that I love. See it all the time when I'm just scrolling looking for things. I'm never going to delete it. Part of my camera roll forever. He's such a good boy. But I really appreciate you guys taking the time. I enjoyed our conversation. Tell everybody where they can find you. I know you have a couple different handles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can find us at lashcastpodcast.com on Instagram, as well as the Lash Conference, and our website, which will probably be changing. Our website for the Lash Conference is the Lash Conference, and we have Lash Cast Productions is our website for our podcast.
Nice.
You can find our podcast on every platform. There isn't a platform that we aren't on. Everything from iHeartRadio to Spotify, iTunes, and so forth. So you can find us everywhere. Come check us out. We've actually been doing this for over 3 years now, so it's been pretty exciting.
Yeah, fantastic. I know I'm like halfway through the interview you did with Sandra because it was just the two-parter. So I'm almost through, but that was interesting.
Yeah, we were really fortunate. I've been wanting to get Sandra on for a long time. When she finally said I'm leaving, like, holy crap, we got to get you on because you're done. And she's, sadly, I could tell already some people who are newer in the industry had no idea who she was. And like, it's amazing. It just blows my mind. I mean, Sandra literally, as a single individual, had more influence in our industry than anyone. I mean, she literally just, as one person out back east working, really affected hundreds, if not thousands, or tens of thousands of lash
created a little online community. I remember, so she said something to me. This is full circle because it was at the Lash Con, the first one.
Yeah.
She pulled me aside. It almost made me cry a little bit. I was like, wow, like that was such a special moment for me she pulled me aside and she said, hey, I want to thank you. I was like, why? And she's like, you know, I did my very first ever like class with you. I was teaching at a school, just like a little workshop. It was like, you know, evening from like 6 to 7 or whatever, or 7 to 8, or it's just something at the end of the day. And I was like, oh, let me get Sandra to come because she's influential. And we both just did a presentation, but that was the first time she did anything. So she's like, you were kind of my starting point for me doing it. And I just thought it was so sweet that she took the time to say that to me. It meant a lot. So and it was at your conference. There was a lot of funding going on at that place.
There was. Yeah. No,
yeah. So people get the drinks and then everyone's like, come here, I want to chat real quick. And you're like, oh, that was so sweet. So
I love you,
it's
man.
nice when people just say things like that too. Cause it was like, I'm not taking credit for anything that she did. That's not why I brought it up, but it was just sweet when you share something with somebody, you're like, oh, that was nice. And you just make people feel good. So
I know that you've done that for a lot of people. I mean, I know for Shelby and for a lot of people, you've always had a real impact in supporting people. I know for us, I think you were the first one that came to me and said, we're 100% behind whatever you do with LashCon. Like, I think it was like, it was amazing. Like no one, I mean, I talked to other people, but you were like, we'll be there with bells on. It doesn't matter. Don't sweat. We're on board. And I barely had told you more than just like, we're going to do a business conference. And
I'm like, social gathering party time. I'm in. I'm just extremely extroverted and I love to laugh. And I just love those small moments, right? Yeah. Like you never forget. Like that was an intimate conversation. Sorry, Sandra, I didn't mean to put you on blast. Yeah. You don't want to people to know that, but I just thought it was sweet, and it obviously wasn't that personal. But you know, it's just I love the get together. So I'm looking forward to getting together soon. So thank you so much for your time. I'm going to finish that podcast, and let's plan on doing a recap somewhere closer to the conference.
Yeah, and we'll definitely have to do that. It'd be awesome.
And thank you so much. Stay well in California.
We will.
Okay. Bye. Thank you so much.